Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup, December 4th, 2024. My name is Big Mike here at Big Mike Sports. Now let's talk some rugby. On this week's episode, we'll be looking at last week's club and international results, as well as the first round of the 7 series for 24-25. And looking forward, we have the first week of the European Champions Cup and Challenge Cup. But as always, if you would like me to talk about any games, any teams, any competitions, please let me know. Best places to do this are at YouTube at Big Mike Sports and Instagram at Big Mike Sports NZ. Now let's get to the roundup. Let's start with international men's results with the only game of the weekend and the final game of the year. This one was Ireland hosting Australia. Australia were not able to go in with Grand Slam hopes with this one thanks to their 27-13 loss to Scotland the previous weekend. At half-time, the Wallabies were up 13 points to 5. But Ireland, as you know they love to, they had a beautiful comeback, winning this one 22-19, the same score that they bet the Pumas with a couple of weeks prior. A try in the 73rd minute clinched it for the Irish. The Australians were not able to come back as they did against those dirty, dirty English boys. This one was Andy Farrell's last game in charge of Ireland for a while, as he is heading into British and Irish Lions territory, and he'll be watching the Six Nations closely to make sure he picks the right team, which I am sure will be full of Irish. Now to club results from last weekend. The URC came back for round 7. Sitting in first place after last week was Leinster, who won a big 3 contest against Ulster, 27-20. Other results, Glasgow Warriors 17-15 over the Scarlets of Wales, Glasgow sitting in second. Bulls 28-14 over Connacht. Bulls are in fourth place. The Bulls are in third place. Cardiff has moved up into fourth place after a 31-23 win over fellow Welsh Dragons. Now the Lions have dropped out of the top 4 after a 17-10 loss to Munster. Heading into the top 14, it was round 11. Not a lot of big stars last weekend. Everyone preparing for the first round of the championship, or the Champions Cup. Toulouse remain in first after a very tight 21-17 win over Racing 92. Bordeaux in second after a 9-6 snorer against Montpellier. Toulon 22-13 victors over Perpignan sit in third. Clermont are up to fourth position after an astounding 54-10 win over Castres. And in a huge upset from last weekend, La Rochelle went down 23-14 to my beloved Vannes. La Rochelle down to 6th on the table, Vannes up to 14th out of 14. In the Premiership, it was round 7. Bath are sitting on top of the table after a 19-15 victory over Exeter, who still have not had a win. Bristol Harlequins was one of my big 3 games last week. Bristol Bears winning this one 48-24. Leicester went down to the Sale Sharks 39-25, and Saracens are currently in 4th after losing to the Newcastle Falcons for the first time in 15 years. This game was 17-12, another huge upset. In England's Women's Premiership, the bottom of the table clash saw Leicester beat the Sale Sharks 34-17, giving them 1 victory. Sale, 0 victories. Now the 7 series started in Dubai. For the 5th time in a row, I believe, Australia won the Dubai Sevens with a 28-24 victory over New Zealand in the final. Third place was France, the same top 3 from the series last year. Coming in 12th position on the women's side was Fiji. On the men's side, the final saw Spain make the final for the very first time after beating New Zealand in the semi-finals, which was their second time beating New Zealand in Dubai. Fiji winning the final 19-5 over Spain. In third place was Argentina. Paris gold medalists France came 5th and the USA came 12th. This weekend, we're heading to Cape Town to do it all again. Now to our fun fact of the week, it was going to be about America's golden girl, or bronze girl, Alona Mayer, signing with the Bristol Bears, but that has been everywhere. So my fun fact is going to take us to a little bitty continent called South America. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I love competitions around the world, and South America has something called Super Rugby Americas, which was in its third season this year, and has 7 teams. One of those teams was the American Raptors, formerly known as the Colorado Raptors, from the ESPN show. Unfortunately, they will not be in the 2025 season, being replaced by a third Argentinian team, Tarucas. Now, let's look forward to this weekend. First round of the big comps over in Europe and South Africa. Now, we'll start with the Champions Cup. How this works is it's got 24 teams. 8 teams from the Premiership, 8 teams from the URC, and 8 teams from the top 14. These are all the top 8 teams from last season, and as well as the Sharks, who got in after winning last year's Challenge Cup. There will be 4 pools of 6. Every team in those pools will play 4 games each, and the top 4 teams from every pool will go into the round of 16. The 5th place team will go into the Challenge Cup round of 16. Last year's final, Toulouse 31, Leinster 22, making it the 4th time in a row, I believe, that a French team has won. All of this being shared between Toulouse and La Rochelle. The last non-French team to win was the Exeter Chiefs in 2019-2020. Now let's look at these pools, remembering that the top 4 teams from each pool will be going through to the round of 16. Okay, here we go. Pool 1 includes first place top 14 team Toulouse, as well as second place top 14 team Bordeaux. Third place Premiership squad Leicester Tigers, as well as the dead last Exeter Chiefs. And from the URC, last year's Challenge Cup champions the Sharks, and 10th place Ulster. Pool 2, also known as the Pool of Death. From England, you have first and second place in the Premiership currently Bath and the Bristol Bears. From the URC, first place Leinster, and from France, 4th and 5th place Clermont and La Rochelle. La Rochelle and Leinster do have a lot of history in the Champions Cup. This one is going to be fun. Our 6th team is my beautiful Italian friends Benetton, who currently sit 12th in the URC. Pool 3. From the English Premiership, we have Saracens and the Northampton Saints, who are currently sitting at 4th and 8th. From the URC, we have the Bulls and Munster, currently 3rd and 11th. And from France, we have Castres in 7th and Stade Francais, who sit in 11th. And finally, Pool 4 from the URC. This time we've got second place Glasgow Warriors, as well as the currently 13th Stormers. From England, you have Harlequins, who currently sit in 7th, and the Sale Sharks, who are sitting in 6th, as well as France's Toulon, who's in 3rd, and Racing 92, who are in 8th. Obviously, these pools were based on teams and their placings from last year's competitions. When you see teams that are currently placed 10th, 11th, 12th, it doesn't quite seem right, but these are the top teams going into the Champions Cup for 2024. Now the Challenge Cup is one step down. This one's got 18 teams. These 18 teams will be cut down to 12 and joined by the 4 teams that finish 5th in their pools in the Champions Cup. This one's got 2 teams from the Premiership, 6 teams from the top 14, 8 teams from the URC, and 2 invited teams, South Africa's Cheetahs, who have been a part of European rugby for nearly a decade, and our RE Rugby Europe Super Cup champions from Georgia, Black Lion. This one's got 3 pools of 6, 4 games each again, so not quite playing everyone, and the top 4 from each pool go into the round of 16. Last year's final saw South Africa's Sharks from the URC beating Premiership team Gloucester 36-22. Now these pools, Pool 1, you have the Cheetahs, we have Lyon and Perpignan from the top 14, who currently sit in 13th and 12th. 4th place URC team Cardiff, 8th place URC team Connacht, and 15th place URC team My Mighty Zebre. Pool 2, we have the Dragons, who unfortunately are at the bottom of the URC, joined by URC friends Ospreys, who are currently sitting in 14th, and Lions, who have just dropped out of the URC's top 4. From the Premiership, we've got the Newcastle Falcons, who had that big victory last weekend against Saracens. And from France, we have 9th place Montpellier and 10th place. And Pool 3, we have Black Lion, the mighty Black Lion, who, if you have been listening to the show for a while, you know I'm a big fan of Black Lion, as well as URC teams Edinburgh and Scarlets, who are sitting in 7th and 9th. Gloucester, last year's runners-up, who are currently 5th in the Premiership. And from the top 14, we have Bayonne, who are sitting in 5th, and my beloved Vanbes, who are dead last. Oh boy. Which 4 teams are going up from all of those pools? There's going to be a lot to follow in the upcoming weeks and months. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's only just the beginning. Now let's get to the games from this weekend. I'll get a few highlights from each competition. From the Champions Cup, Finn Russell's Bath, who are sitting first in that Premiership, take on La Rochelle, who obviously have Gregory Aldred. We also have Louis Bielbieri, the Autumn Nations Games superstar from Bordeaux. His team will be taking on Leicester. Michael Checker's Leicester, captained by Argentinian superstar Julian Montoya. We have Antoine Dupont and his top 14 conquering Toulouse, trying to defend their title, and their first game will be against Ian Henderson's Ulster from Ireland. Stephen Luatua, former Blues player Stephen Luatua, and his Bristol Bears taking on the undefeated Leinster. Are we going to see a Geordie Barrett debut this weekend? And we have the Glasgow Warriors, whose superstar is the Scottish captain Sione Tuipulotu, taking on the Sale Sharks with Ben and Tom Curry at the lead, at the helm. Some great games from the Champions Cup. Some highlights from the Challenge Cup this weekend. We have Gloucester trying to get one better than last year and get that victory in this competition, but taking on Edinburgh first up. Cheetah's first game will be against Perpignan. Bayonne, who are currently sitting 5th in the top 14, and Scarlets have a match. And oh my goodness, the Black Lion from beautiful Georgia will be hosting my beloved Vanbes. Lots of big games this weekend, but here are my big 3. So if you've only got time to watch one, follow one, see one, make sure it's one of these ones. Let's look at from the Champions Cup. Bordeaux taking on Leicester. Also from the Champions Cup, Bristol taking on Leinster. Oh, that's a mouthful. And from the Challenge Cup, what I personally think will be the match of the year, we have my beloved Vanbes versus my beloved Black Lion. Also to look forward to this week, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Cape Town Sevens. Wow, lots to look forward to this week. Unfortunately, the international games are over for the year, but things are about to get juicy in Cape Town and very juicy all over the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup. But for now, until next time, my name is Big Mike here at Big Mike Sports. Make sure that you have a beautiful week and you watch some beautiful rugby.